Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that this daily quarterback, evaluation, competition, whatever you want to call it, is doing to the 49er fan is it's camouflaging a very serious issue that the 49ers have. And I look at the Niners. I don't know how you look at the conference. I think the conference is garbage. I think
Yeah.
it's Niners and Eagles, Eagles and Niners. I don't believe in Dallas. Don't believe in Detroit. Don't believe in New Orleans. Don't believe in Tampa. Don't believe in the Bears. Don't believe in Seattle. I mean, I don't believe. I think it's Niners and Eagles, Eagles and Niners. That's the way I see it. But so this is a great opportunity, and I see some of these other teams like Detroit's coming. I think Chicago's coming. There's some teams in the NFC that are Carolina. I think is coming. There's a few teams that are gonna be really good in the next few years, I believe. But right now, Niners and Eagles. But the one thing that makes me really nervous, and I'm not nervous at all about Nick Bosa not being here. In fact, I'm thrilled that Nick Bosa is not here because Nick Bosa doesn't need to be here. He's an edge rusher and we know he's in awesome shape. And sign him on the 15th of the month. Sign him on the 20th of the month. I don't. Every day that goes by that Nick Bosa doesn't tear anything in practice and is done for the year is a great moment for the Niners. I don't need him in these practices. But I'll tell you, the one thing that is a glaring thing is the Niners had over 1,300 snaps between Ebukam, Willis, and Amenahue. And those guys left the door, walked out the door, and they brought in, Robert Beal, who barely got on the field at Georgia during his career, had one good year there. Austin Bryant, I'm not really sold on him. And Cleveland Farrell, who doesn't sack the quarterback. He's got 10 sacks in 4 years. They also have now Taco Charlton, Alex Barrett, Dalen Hayes. Ryan, I think this is the biggest issue that nobody's talking about. I asked Chris Kocerick the other day, I said, Chris, are you going to play your ones a lot more this year? Because you got a dominant number one group, but your twos and your threes, you don't have the quality of depth that you've had. And he's like, no. He's like, I can't play my number one defensive line 70 snaps or they won't be fresh in December and January when we're rolling towards the playoffs and hopefully going towards the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It makes all the sense in the world, but that means they got to get real reps out of either Kerry Hyder, Robert Beal, Austin Bryant, Alex Barrett, Taco Charlton, Cleveland Farrell, and I don't know that I got a lot of belief in any of those guys. I think the Niners badly need some defensive end help. Where do you weigh in on what did you think of the defensive ends when you were at practice? What do you think of it on paper?
When I was there, I actually saw, and I've heard that it wasn't always the case after I left, but when I was there, Drake Jackson looked phenomenal.
Oh, he does. He looks great. Yeah.
That was the game he chased down Elijah Mitchell in coverage like he was a DB.
Right. Went off his helmet.
Yeah. Went off his helmet. It's perfect. And also he tipped the ball from Trey Lance, and he was great at tipping balls last year. So, I mean, I like Drake Jackson. I think the 49ers really believe in him. So, to me, I think Drake Jackson is solid, whether he's the starter or not. I think he's very solid. I know Taco has come off the plane and played 2 really good games. So that's great as well. Cleveland Farrell, there's times like in OTAs, I think he played really well. And then I've heard he's had kind of up and down during training camp. So it doesn't bother me as much. That's not my biggest worry for me personally. I think they're going to be okay as long as those guys stay healthy. What scares me the most is tackle depth. And maybe we're going to talk about that later, but that's the biggest
offensive tackle.
Yeah, that's what scares me the most. But maybe I'm missing out on it. I mean, you saw more of training camp than I did. But when I was there, I saw a lot of great things from Drake Jackson, and I've heard a lot of good things from Taco. So I'm not too concerned, but maybe you have a better reason. Also, I should mention this. I know he's not an end. He's a tackle, but Kinlaw looks really good as well. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised. And you got Hargrave and Armstead and Bosa, of course, if he eventually signs his contract, which I think he will. That really doesn't worry me too much. But maybe you have more reason to worry than I do because you were there.
Well, I love the tackles. I mean, Hargrave, Armstead, Givens looks great. Kinlaw, you're right. Kinlaw looks monster. Yeah. T.Y. McGill looks really, really good. Mm-hmm. Marlon Davidson has had some really good reps. The guy who I absolutely think is coming is Spencer Wagee, the rookie from undrafted free agent, college free agent out of North Dakota State. He looks tremendous. Kalia Davis has got great speed if he can stay healthy. He missed practice the other day. I like him at tackle. I mean, at tackle, I think they're stacked. Yeah. My biggest concern is defensive end. In fact, I think if I were the Niners, based on what I've seen, I would start Spencer Wagee opposite Bosa, and then just bring Drake, in on third down, and let Wagee, who played defensive end in college, let him play the rundowns at defensive end, and give up a little pass rush there, and just keep Drake fresh. Unless you can get somebody.
What do you think about Kinlaw on the edge?
No, I think Kinlaw. No, he's like a zero technique. He's like probably the least of a He's probably the least pass rushing player they have on their front. He's really strong. One-on-one
drill. I saw him do a drill there and on the edge, and he murdered somebody.
Yeah,
so maybe it's just a bad rep by whoever was trying to block him, but he did good there, and he slimmed out. So I was just curious what you think about that.
I mean, I love the way he's looking. I mean, he looks incredible. He had one play where he went to the ground and he kind of grabbed his knee, but he was back out there the next day. Mm-hmm. I think Kinlaw is amazing. He looks amazing right now. I like him as a bull rush monster in the middle. Yeah. And Alex Barrett has had some good reps. Tacos look good in some of the one-on-ones.
I got a question for you about this.
I got to see Beal. I got to see Beal play more. Beal's got to get healthy and play more.
Beal's a freak athlete, but it appears Wilks is blitzing a lot more with the safeties and even the linebackers. So do you think that might just benefit these DNs enough, like having that extra pass rusher, whether it be safety or a linebacker, that may assist these guys get more pressure on the quarterbacks to where maybe you don't need as big of a role from some of these DNs. What do you think about that?
Well, there's no question. You're going to see more, what they call them dogs, right? When the linebacker blitzes. I think you'll see it more. It's funny, Wilks was asked about it the other day, and he's like, you think we're blitzing a lot? He's like, he was kind of questioning the question, like, hey, we're not, we haven't blitzed a lot. But D. Winters, Jalen Graham, Marcelino especially, is a tremendous blitzer, and I think you're definitely going to see, whether it's Greenlaw, Warner, McCrary Ball, I could see any of these guys coming on blitzes, and it will help. Yeah. I'll tell you the guy who's intriguing to me, and I'm going to do a video about this later tonight, is that the Tampa Bay Bucks are supposedly eager to trade Devin White. And to me, Devin White, who's also an inside backer, but Devin White is about 245, 250. He's easily the best. His as a run defender, he's good, but where he's really special is as a pass rusher and as a pass rushing inside backer. And if he's just an impact front seven guy. And I saw people saying, well, they may trade him for a second or a third. I mean, the way the Niners have gotten by without their picks, the way they operate on day 3, the way they get guys after the draft. If I could get Devin White for, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles or Oren Burks and a 3rd-round pick, man, I would absolutely do it. I don't care if he's a free agent at the end of the year. I don't care if he plays a premium position. I'd play him as a wide 9 defensive end from time to time and just let him hunt quarterbacks because he just moves. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's 250 pounds with like 4.49 speed. That would be intriguing. The other thing is, I think they got to really take a hard look at what's out there in the free agent market. Jadeveon Clowney is really good against the run. He's still a free agent. Melvin Ingram's still out there. Jason Pierre-Paul is out there. Robert Quinn, Carlos Dunlap, Alton Robinson, who's not very old, from Seattle. He's 25. Justin Houston got signed literally about an hour ago by Carolina, and Yannick Ngakoue signed by the Bears.
Oh, Bears, yeah.
And then there's trade options too. I mean, Boogie Basham from Buffalo could be dealt. Bryce Huff, they're saying, from the Jets might be available. Montez Sweat or Chase Young from the Commanders could be available. Jerry Hughes in Houston. Houston's got Will Anderson, Jonathan Greenard, Ali Gay, a lot of young defensive ends. D'Amico probably wants to develop those guys. They're a young team. They got a 35-year-old pass rusher in Jerry Hughes. He had 16 starts last year. He had 9 sacks. He would be nice. He's 35, but I'd take him. Jacksonville's got Clavon Chason, the former 20th pick overall. He's been really, really pretty mediocre for Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got, Trayvon Walker, Arden Key, Josh Allen, Dawan Smoot. I mean, they got all kind. There's a lot, and he was picked by Dave Caldwell, not Trent Baalke. So they might move off a Chase on. Maybe you could make a deal like the Niners made for Tomlinson, Laken Tomlinson. You get somebody who was a first-round pick a few years ago and bring him in here. The other team that's really interesting is Dallas. Dallas has got DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. They got Dorrance Armstrong. There's a lot of talk they may trade Dorrance Armstrong. They're not going to trade him to the Niners, but they've got Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Junior Fehoko, Tyrus Wheat. I mean, they got a bunch of guys. They can't keep all those guys. Maybe you pick somebody off the waiver wire at the cut down. I don't know, but I'll say this, Ryan. I don't feel good about their backup defensive ends. And this is like where they make their name. This is like where what defines their defense. So I think they need some help.
Did you feel good? Let me ask you this. Did you feel good about like Amanahu before he started playing for the Niners as a back as that role, or did it take you seeing him play before you felt?
I liked him. He played at Texas, and I'm somewhat of a Texas fan. I got the Longhorn.
There you go.
So I'm a little bit of a Longhorn Nation guy, but actually I'm not. I mean, I'm more of an A&M fan. But I saw him at Texas, and I got buddies who are big season ticket holders. He just never got it the right weight. In fact, I talked to him last year in the locker room. I'm like, man, you look so much different year one from the Niners to year two. And he's like, it's funny. Yeah. You're the first person who said that to me. Last year, I weighed like 275. This year, I said, what are you at this year? He's like 260. So he lost 15 pounds from year one to year two, and he was awesome last year.
There's to me, Larry, there's a couple of things I don't worry about when it comes to the 49ers, and that's linebacker and D-line. I feel like you guys got it. They've shown me that they know what they're doing there, and I hear what you're saying, but it's not something that I worry about just because of what they've been able to put together in the past, especially linebacker. Like I'm never going to question what you guys are doing at linebacker.
Yeah.
But even DN, I feel fine with it. I feel like they're going to find some depth. And I really think Drake Jackson to me is basically the Aaron Banks of this season. Right? Yeah. Everyone was worried about, Aaron Banks, he didn't even play.
Is he a bust?
He's a bust, rookie season, right? And I think that's what they're doing right now with Drake Jackson. We haven't really seen it. But the 49ers, I think in their head, they're like, we're fine. Drake Jackson's going to be the man. So I think they really believe that. And not only that, like if you think about last year, when did they sign Gibson? It was like, what, a week before?
Might have been right. It might have been the cut down.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a week before the cut down.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised they do something like that again, grab somebody right before the cut down.
Yeah.
They're taking their time, and they still got a little cap room to work with as well.
And they'll have $8 million more most likely when they get the Bosa deal done.
Yeah.
That's why, and there's other guys too. I mean, there's Kenny Willekes, and there's a few other guys, and you never know on the cut down. They maybe there's somebody in the draft that they really liked. Every team cuts. There's not that 75 cut this year, right? So it goes from 90 down to 53. So that August 29th date, there's going to be all kinds of guys available. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I trust – the one thing with Kasarik is you trust that he's going to get guys there that he likes and that fit his scheme, and then he's going to be able to get the most out of them.
Right.
So it's not they don't necessarily – but to me, just looking at what they have running around out there and what they need, I think it's a major need spot.